Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
All right, welcome everybody to the Master Connector Show. I'm Rob Genovesi. It's good to see you all, or I wish I could see you, but I hope you're seeing us. And I hope you're tuning in every single week as we come to you with amazing guests talking on a variety of topics, all to help us connect with one another, to level up what we're doing, and just be out there promoting others, adding value, and hopefully doing some business at the same time. You know, my co-host Steve and I, we go way back, about 27 years. And if you're just tuning in, you know, we go back and we come from a similar place in life, both introverts, former shy guys who were, and I won't speak for Steve necessarily. I was clueless, honestly. I didn't know anything about relationships or connecting with people. I didn't know about leadership or business or anything. Spent a lot of years learning that stuff from various mentors, coaches, reading programs, absorbing anything I could just so I could win in life. And even when I did learn a lot of those hard skills, the thing that I had to develop most, and the thing that actually was most valuable, were those soft skills. We're going to be talking about some of that stuff. The soft skills being relationships, connecting with people. And I mentioned mentorship before, so tune in. We're going to have a great guest today to talk on that subject. But, you know, Steve and I, like I said, we overcame that shyness, you know, and it was painful for me. I remember I would see people who I knew from high school in a store, and I would run like 5 aisles away just so I wouldn't have to talk to them, because honestly, I didn't know what to say. And it hurt because I really wanted to be more outgoing. And here we are, fast forward 27 years later, Steve and I co-hosting the Master Connector Show. Both of us master connectors, but Steve is the master connector. He's overcome a lot to get to where he is today, and always overcoming more and more things. Please, let's bring him on to the show, the Master Connector, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Rob G? Hey, I honestly, I know you say clueless, but when I met you, you did not seem clueless to me. You were well put together. I thought you were amazing. I continue to think you're amazing. Certainly, you know, we're not those super out there, you know, charismatic kind of people. But you know what? I think you and we've learned to come into our own and be comfortable on our own skin. And yeah, we've grown a lot, but we also have learned to accept who and what we're about. And it's interesting. So, but I appreciate you, sir. It's been amazing. I don't know how many shows we've done together now. I feel like it's like 10, maybe 15 of them, but it's been a blast having you on here as a co-host, and just appreciate the value that you bring to the table here. So if you haven't connected with Rob G, a master brand builder, and maybe we'll put that master in front of it. I don't know. But anyway, I added master there.
I don't know if I could take that mantle of master, but okay.
Well, you got the mantle now. I crown you. I have the sword and knight you master brand builder. But anyway, it's great stuff. But I appreciate you. Well, what's going on, Fred? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And listen, you know, if you're just checking us out for the first time, we love having you on here with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate whoever's on with us here. We have some incredible guests and members or I don't know what we want to call them, right? Because we just love everybody that's part of our community. And so we believe in LinkedIn participants, not LinkedIn lurkers. So if you're watching us live, make sure in the comments. Now, if you're watching this on the replay, type in hashtag replay. We want to hear from you as well. But type in where you're from, the city, the state. Share this out to the community. If you like what you're hearing, share it out. Send the link out to some people that you know and you like and respect. It's gonna be a great show today. So, I want to say this, right? Mentorship is a powerful catalyst for building a lasting legacy that transcends individual achievement. And I wrote a bunch of stuff and some notes, but I'm going to talk from the heart here because you know what? Mentorship has been so crucial for me. I went for a very long time with just, I talk clueless. I was clueless. I was busy. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. I thought that the busier I was, the more productive I would be. And I was basically just spinning my wheels. And I like to use the metaphor, I was like driving on these 3 or 4 really cool roads, enjoying the view, driving amazing cars, having a blast. And if you said to me, "Hey, Steve, where you going?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm having a good time." It was great. But then a mentor came into my life, GPS. And he said, "Steve, ultimately, where you want to go? In other words, how do you want to live? How do you want your life to be?" And he said, "Are the roads of the vehicles you're driving on, are they going to get you there?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know." He said, "Why don't we do this? Why don't we reverse engineer? Let's figure out where you want to go and figure out what the best way to get there is." Because so many people, again, today, I speak about this a lot, focus on the what and the how, when in fact, I've learned it's all about the who and the why. The who, to me, has been a mentor, and I've had multiple mentors. Rob has, in some ways, been a great mentor to me. I remember, back when I was trying to figure out LinkedIn and try to be a little bit more active here, and I was putting out posts pretty regularly, and I said, "Rob, I have this goal to be, a inspirational speaker." And he said, "Steve, I love what you're doing, but if you want to show the world you can speak, you should do some video." And so he inspired me to get on and shoot video. And the perfection in me wanted to kind of do these perfect videos, but he said, "Just shoot stuff." And I started doing it. And initially it's on my iPhone. And then eventually I started doing it as recording on Zoom, but it's been great. But he was a catalyst for kind of helping me kind of go in that direction. And then of course, met Cameron, and he is the originator with us to create the Master Connector show. So many people have been mentors in my life, but what mentorship really has been to me is it's been a relationship. And we're going to get into that in the show. And, having somebody really truly know who you are and their strengths, your weaknesses. I love these figureheads like the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, the Ed Milet's, and they're amazing. No disrespect. They're incredible. But if you're calling them a mentor and they don't even know who you are, like my mentor has been to my home multiple times. I've been to his home multiple times. It's a real relationship. He knows my flaws, my character flaws. He knows my goals, my ultimate goals, and he knows my heart, and he can help me. And so it's way different than coaching. So we're going to get into that. I don't want to get too deep on this, but I got a lot to say. I'm very passionate, obviously, about it. But and I want to, by the way, welcome Hopeton. Great to see you, sir. And I want to also welcome, of course, Yolanda. Amazing. We appreciate you big time, Yolanda. Amazing community member and absolutely from Texas. Not a LinkedIn lurker for sure. She's a participant for sure. And so let's get in there. So if you're ready for my man, Mr. Robbie G, to introduce our incredible guest, I want you to type in the comments right now, #let's go. And we're going to have Robbie G bring him up.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Awesome stuff. I am really excited for today's guest. I've known Rick for a number of years now, and he's an absolute dynamic person. Can't wait to bring him on. But listen, Rick Gabrielli is a passionate husband, father, author, podcaster, community builder, and American wellness entrepreneur. His limitless enthusiasm, love of technology, energy medicine, and the exploration of biohacking inspires and motivates others. Rick is the COO and visionary creator of Scarsdale Dental Spa and Wellness. He's an independent distributor and group leader for Beamer Group. He's co-author of The Currency of Connection with his wife, Carol. He's an area director and regional growth and development advisor for Master Network's Tri-State region. He's a public speaker, wellness educator, and the co-founder and host of the podcast and online community, The Road Ahead Cafe. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Rick Gabrielli. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Wow, Rob. Whew, man, that is quite an intro. Thank you, guys. Steve, I'm so honored.
You're quite a person. That's a long list of accomplishments.
Absolutely. That's good. And there's a lot more to talk about. And, I was mentioning mentors today in the kind of intro, Rick, and you've been an amazing mentor to me in a lot of ways as well. And one of the ways you inspired me was you said you should get your book out. And I hit some roadblocks, and you were very, very, very instrumental in helping me push through that. So I appreciate you, sir. And, having you on the show here is only one tiny way that I would love to honor that to you, sir. So we're going to have a blast today here. So we're going to just jump right in, and, we have, we try to keep the show to 30 minutes. So we want to talk about legacy. So community, type in #legacy, because we know we're participants, not LinkedIn lurkers. So type in #legacy. And here's the question for you, brother Rick. How has reflecting on your own mentors enhanced your sense of gratitude? And in what ways has it contributed to building your personal or I guess, and or professional legacy.
Well, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Rob. You guys have been mentors to me too. And I have to thank you for asking me to join you. And I'm just honored and humbled. So as I was thinking about this list of names, who are the people who really influenced me? First my dad, my uncle Jimmy, my gym teacher, Mr. D, my high school biology teacher, who I'll tell you in a minute, saved my life. And as I think about these people, and every day when I do something, one of them pops into my mind. Tina Campbell is another one of my newer mentors, 4 or 5 years now. And you guys, as I mentioned. So the thing of it is when you give gratitude, you give it to these other people. So nothing that I've done in my life is without these people. So I can't say enough about the gifts that I got from the people who've mentored me.
I love that. That's great. And I appreciate that you calling out some people, and I would love to get into that story a little bit. Would you mind? I don't know if it's part of the questions, but I'm going to kind of take us off because I'd love for you to share that story on the mentor that kind of saved your life, and as brief as you can, because we have a lot of stuff we want to cover, but it's an important story because that touched my heart when you told me this story.
Yeah. So, to make it quick, I'm basically failing high school biology and I decide to drop the course. And next year, when I come back, there's a second teacher who teaches it. So my guidance counselor says, "Oh, you're going to take this other lady, right? Mrs. Frame." And I said, "No, I'm going to take Mr. Haskell again." So I took the same guy, Noel Haskell. And that year really built a foundation for us. I get out of school. My dad dies my first year in college. I'm off the rails. I'm in like a drug and alcohol phase, and I'm really throwing my life away. He writes me a letter. So this is like 4 years, 5 years after I had him as a teacher, but he knew my family. He writes me a letter basically saying, "No one has to know. I'll help you through this dark period." I put the letter down, never touched another drug. So a switch flipped in my life, in my heart and mind. And I owe everything to him that I'm here today. So he saved my life, the life saving power of connection. Ironically, about 10 years later, we were body surfing in Ocean Grove, New Jersey at his beach house. We had never spoken about the letter. And while we were in the water, he hit a sandbar and became paralyzed in the ocean. I took his lifeless body out of the water, put it on the shore. The paramedics saved him. He made a full recovery. But that night in the hospital, when I held his hand, I said, "Now we're even. You saved my life. Now I saved yours." So that's just one story. And I have dozens like that, but that's the biggest one. It's the reason I'm here today. That's mentoring. Writing that letter was a mentoring act. He could have risked it all. I could have never spoken to him again, but it saved my life. And then I was able to save his.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's so many things that you said there that resonate, and obviously one of the reasons why we're close friends, and I wanted you on the show here. But it's that others focused heart, right? Which is what a big part of our show is about, being others focused. That's one of our 4 pillars. And I don't have such a dramatic story that you do about mentorship, but I could say, and I wrote in a post to you yesterday or today, I wrote literally, and it's true, that if it wasn't for a mentor, I probably would be bankrupt, homeless, and divorced today. There's no doubt about it, because of certain things. And it was just those little decisions, right? We hear crazy stories. Thank God it was never been me. But, somebody takes a drink and then they go drive and they hit somebody, kill them, and they're now in jail in their life. And that one little decision, right? And I could have made, it wasn't that, but a decision that could have really crashed me, crash and burn. And mentorship, so crucial. Rob, I know you have something to say. Go for it.
Yeah, when you just said that, Steve, I was thinking about it. And Rick, just powerful story about the power of mentorship. Sometimes it's almost, we think a lot of times about mentorship being this two-way communication. And yes, that does happen, but it's not always that way. Sometimes that mentorship comes in the form of modeling, where you do have a relationship. It's important. But, I remember going way back, Steve, we shared the same mentor, and I would look at his marriage and I would just look at the way they treated each other, because I had such a high level of respect, and I would take the mentorship. But even just watching and observing, seeing the deep mutual respect they had for each other and going, that's what I want. And so there's this indirect mentoring that's going on because I allow it to happen. and they allow themselves to be transparent, vulnerable, and showing it, that I can go, wow, I've developed that because I've watched it, but also it comes out of a lot of other learning and conversation. So the power of mentorship cannot be understated. And if people don't have one, highly recommend you find somebody that you can latch onto that will teach you what they've learned through life's trials.
And I just want to say one thing. Mentorship is great. Modeling is great. Totally agree with what you're saying. But also there's another side of it, which is putting on overly heavy expectations, right? I know the marriage you're speaking about. I also know your wife, Ann, you and Ann, and she's very different from his wife, right? And so you can't have identical, right? You got to work towards the heart, but you got to do it in your own style and your own personality. And right, my wife is not like Elise either, and so but you can work towards a feeling of that mutual respect without having to be, because I was so hung up on wanting to have the exact same thing. It was crazy, and it only made me feel horrible about myself because I couldn't get to that place exactly like I saw. But it's got to be in your own style, right?
Yeah.
So for sure, yeah. All right, Rick, let's keep rolling. Mentorship, right? That's what we're talking about here. So hashtag mentorship. And here's the question, and you could elaborate. We want to hear from you, Rob, but we want to hear from you, Rob, too. But we want to hear from you, Rick. What, in your opinion, are the key qualities that make someone an effective mentor, and how can an individual or individuals cultivate these qualities within themselves?
So I listed three things for myself to talk about. One is patience, one is listening, and one is curiosity. So there's a key piece in here. I looked at the list of all my best mentors and I thought, what is the thing that is the common thread? So to leave you with one, these people who were all perfectionists in their own right and in their own lives, they built incredible lives. Whenever they were mentoring me, they were willing to put perfectionist tendencies aside and see me as I could be. They put those aside for a moment while they were mentoring me because I wasn't there yet. So I thought about all these people as they were teaching me and helping me and supporting me and listening to me. They would all put their perfectionism aside while I was growing and allow me to make mistakes. And the biggest factor was when I made the biggest mistakes, they were the most supportive. Little things along the way, they would hammer me. But as I made the biggest mistakes, they were always there to hold me and lift me when I needed it most.
And they've done an amazing job, because you know what? That love, that umbrella of love is what I see from you. I mean, you know, when I'm around a Rick Gabrielli, you don't feel anything but warmth and love and support. And they've done a great job with you. And I know that's not just how you treat me or Rob, it's how you treat people around you, and it's amazing. And so if you haven't gotten to know Rick, you need to get Rick and get to know Rick, because he's an incredible human being. But that's so true. And just being supportive and just allowing people to make that mistake and not really criticize them per se, but let them learn. Because listen, we feel bad enough when we make mistakes. We don't need somebody else to kind of beat us down about it, and hopefully learn from it, because you best learn not to touch the stove that's hot. When you touch the stove and hot, you get burned, unfortunately. And, you know, you want to protect everyone from making mistakes, but sometimes you got to just learn from your mistakes. Right, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you're just joining us on today's show, today is Mentorship is Your Legacy with Rick Gabrielli. But look, if you got questions for Rick, you know, I've known Rick, like I said, for a few years now, and we've worked on many different projects together. We do a lot of networking together. He has helped me personally, probably when he didn't even know it. And, you know, that's one of the best parts about the relationships you're building. But if you got a question for Rick, he's got such a dynamic and diverse background. Just put it in the comments and we'll see if we can get your question answered before the time is up here. So let's head on to the next topic there, Steve.
Yeah, the next topic is going to be approach. Okay, so type in hashtag approach, because everything you do in your life it's based upon how you're approaching things, right? So here's the question for you, Rick. Can you share a transformative experience where mentorship served as a powerful tool in conquering self-doubt? And it kind of gave that story a little bit. So maybe it's something else, or maybe it's another, you can go a different direction.
Oh, yeah.
And how it influenced your mentoring approach today, right? Because that's the other part of it. How did it influence your mentorship today?
it's exploding out of me. I got such a good story. I go into when after our family business was sold, I go into the workforce. I'm selling copiers and fax machines. I'm a brand new salesman. It's the mid '80s, and I got this guy Al Kirshner, who was my first boss outside the family business. This is right after my dad died, and I was cleaned up. I was on my road. I had met Carol. I'm doing my thing, so I got my first real job, and I go out and I get my first order in the copier business. And I come back to the office and I'm like, I got my first order. I got my first order. So Al, who had like cancer in his face, so half of his face was kind of like a little bit, and he would talk like this. And he said, "Kid, sit down, sit in my office. I want to talk to you. Tell me about it." So he's got his shoes off. He says, "What did you say? And what did they say? And what did you say?" So he's asking me about the whole appointment. And I finally get to the point. He said, "What did you say?" I did the demo, whatever. And then I asked him for the order. He said, "Stop right there. Do you remember how you felt right before they said yes?" I said, "Yes." "How did you feel?" "I would do anything for that customer. I would do anything for them. I was so begging for them to say yes to me." And he said, "I want you to remember that a year from now when they have a problem with this machine or this copier or whatever it is." So the moral of the story is, remember how you felt right before someone said yes to you, and bottle that feeling and serve them for the rest of the relationship, for the rest of your life. Just have that feeling. And I've never lost that. I never forgot what any of these people taught me. I never forgot the darkness and how I got into the light. And I never forgot how I felt right before someone said yes to me. And that's how I treat everyone, as though they're going to be my next customer, my next prospect, my next friend, next community member. And that's just staying in that zone. It's basically dating forever.
That's awesome. That's great. I call that true servant leadership, right? Where you're putting others first and not really focused on you, but what can you do to serve and always be a blessing. I also as well, have a background in the business development world, and I've always tried to go above and beyond, like just blow their mind with how I can serve them and help them. Because in the sales world, let's be honest, a lot of times what's given it a bad name is, you sell something and you're gone, right? And in the copy world, and we share that piece, right? We have so much in common, right? But in the copy world, you sell them something and it's usually a 4 or 5 year lease, and close to 4.5 years, now you're knocking on their door trying to get back in touch. And that's just not a good way to operate at all.
You know what? I got to add one thing to it.
Sure.
All throughout my sales career, from the mid '80s to today, I've always been urged by people who are numbers driven to forget about that nonsense, forget about service, forget about support. We have a department for that. You're supposed to do quotas. You're supposed to hit numbers. You're supposed to increase production. And what I've always said was, that is my production. My production is service, support, caring for people. And that's why I always won, because I never forgot. If you buy from me, I service you.
Love that. That's great. So, hey, we're getting close to the. It's crazy. I told you how this flies by, but I want to cover one here, which is self-doubt. So, type in hashtag self-doubt community, and I'd love to get your take on this, because I think a lot of times we don't succeed because there's doubts within us, right? So, how, Brother Rick, have you navigated and helped others overcome the challenges of self-doubt through mentorship? And what lasting changes has it brought to both individuals and the community at large?
Well, I got some great examples. So as an area director in this networking organization, we're in Master Networks. Sometimes we have to bring leaders up to become presidents, vice presidents, communications directors, member advisors in these chapters. So we look for leaders. So to a person, every single chapter that I have right now, every person who is in leadership, in the top leadership, has said to me when they came, "I'll join, but I don't want to be a leader." When they became a little leader, they said, "I don't want to be the big leader." And every president and vice president and every person I have. So to a person, every one of them said, "I'll do it as long as I don't have to take the next step." And every one of them took the next step. So seeing people as they can be rather than what they are today, is my secret. And so as soon as I meet a new person, I'm like, all right, someday they'll be a president of a chapter. They don't know it yet. They might not even join right now, but when they do, they're going to ascend right to the top and then go back and then get a shovel and start serving again. And they can go right back up. So it's seeing people as they can be helps them overcome self-doubt. But every one of them can do that if you believe in them enough.
And we've been talking about being mentored a lot, and coming to the other side of that, what you just said there, Rick, was so important in learning a lot of what we've learned and going on our own journey and putting some accomplishments under our belts. And it's important to understand that there is that responsibility of leadership and of mentorship to share what you've learned with people. And so part of that mentorship, like you illustrated, was that you always see the potential in people. And that's something actually that not a lot of people are willing to do or able to do for some reason. But being able to spot leadership, spot potential, and highlight it and boost them up. Because like you said, some people, they're saying, I don't want to be, because they're afraid, because they don't know their true potential, because they don't think they can. And your belief in them as a mentor. So you were mentored, now you can mentor to people and rise them up. And that's probably the one big takeaway of knowing Rick Gabriele, everybody, is that he's always constantly 100% of the time, every time I see him in whatever room, he's always building people up.
Thank you, Rob. I'm going to add something on that. Every room you go in, when you see these people who didn't want to be leaders leading dynamically, new people are coming in that room and saying, I want to be like that person. They're not saying they want to be like me. They're saying, I want to be like A, B, C person. And then when I see that, I say, I could die happy right now, because seeing the person who didn't want to do it, and then do it so well that others want to do it because of them is the cycle of life and the cycle of mentoring.
Yeah, that's perfectly said, Rick. And unfortunately, we are actually running out of time. We've got to start winding down, but I believe you have an offer for our audience.
I do. Thanks, Rob. Yes. So anyone who jumps on this link and is watching the show today is free to go download a copy, audio or PDF, of The Currency of Connection, which I proudly wrote with my wife, Carol, back in 2020. And it's basically how to create energy, value, and meaning in your life and the lives of others. So enjoy the book.
And I got to tell you, I have listened to that book multiple times. What an amazing book. Incredible book. I mean, really, really, really well done. And inspired me again in creating, my book. So, but Brother Rick, we appreciate you big time. We're going to have you jump into the room, but God bless. And yeah, we definitely appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, good stuff. So, Rob, I'll pass it to you, sir.
Yeah. So look, we keep talking about mentorship, and, one of the things that I believe, like I said before, is so important about being mentored is becoming a mentor. There is that responsibility we have. There's the saying, to one who much is given, much is expected. So you have to turn around and kind of give a hand up to the people who are coming on after you, behind you, who are earlier on in the journey. And one of the ways to do that is actually through Steve's book. Steve has been on an incredible journey. I've been able to witness some of that, but pick up his book, because only overcoming, you want to follow somebody and learn from somebody who has overcome, because nobody wants to hear from the person who just was born to win and has always won and has not hit any obstacles, right? Because they're completely unrelatable. So pick up Steve's book. I'm going to put that in the chat there, because you're going to see some stories of overcoming what Steve has learned over time, and you can learn from him too.
I appreciate it. It's been a labor of love for sure. So, well, first of all, I want to again thank the community. Thank you guys for being on here, ladies, gentlemen. And we appreciate you. This is why we're here, right? And we're now. I mean, this is amazing. This is episode 150. So next week will be episode 151. Same bad time, same bad channel. Wednesday next week, the 21st. By the way, happy Valentine's Day if you're celebrating. Hopefully, you've got something nice for your loved one. But next week, we're going to have the show is Making Networking Fun with Melissa Grabner. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, we talk about networking, connecting a lot, but we're going to kind of take a different spin on it. So, and by the way, if you're a business owner or you're looking to grow your business, One of the things that we love doing is we love when people want to, sponsor an episode. So if you're interested in hosting or sponsoring an episode, not the whole show, but just an episode, go to masterconnector.show. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to learn how that would work. And it's I think it's great value for us, but for those who do it, take advantage of it. I know Russ Hedge has done it with us a few times. Anyway, here's the deal. And we just appreciate you all. We're just so, again, the reason we're here is you. We're not here for the money, although, we're not going to throw it away, but because we're not getting paid, right? So, but we're here because we know the value that it brings others, and it's all about serving. It's all about giving, and we live in it's a tough place. The world's dark. There's a lot of, unfortunately, I want to say bipolar, but that's not the right word. There's bipartisan stuff going on as we're getting close to the presidential election, and a lot of hating going on. Listen, we need to be the light. We need to uplift and inspire and encourage people. That's what the mission of our show is. And so hopefully you're doing that, and you go and, uplift somebody. I mean, think about it, with Rick's story about this mentor, or this teacher that he had 5 years ago, out of the blue writes a letter, right? So maybe out of the blue, you think of somebody, send him a message, send him a letter, something, reach out to him, call him and say something nice and uplift them and encourage them. Cause you never know, one connection, one conversation can change a life. So let's make sure that we do that. And we're going to see you next week, but always make sure to be the light.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.